All right, folks, good evening and welcome to a semifinal NAIAFBALL live show. I am Cory Thorpe. John Cooper will be along shortly, waiting on him. But before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about our sponsor, AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch, AdCraft USA, AdCraft Print on Twitter, AdCraftUSA.com, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Guys, they are some of the best in the business when it comes to taking care of your team, whether it be business, whether it be football. They are the best. Their customer service is unparalleled, especially when you're looking at setting up a web store to get your fans equipped with your gear. They are the pros. They take care of everything, including delivery, fulfillment, customer service. If something does go wrong, they take care of it for you. Give them a holler. Find them at adcraftusa.com. Going to answer Frank's question real quick. Wouldn't it have been cool for Morningside and Northwestern to meet in the championship? Yeah, it would have. But go ahead and talk about why that is. So Grandview is the only school within 800 miles of Lindsey Wilson. In order to save the flight, the selection committee went ahead and matched up Northwestern and Morningside in the semis and Grandview and Lindsey Wilson in the semis in order to save on that flight. Now, like I said on our Instagram pre-show, man, I feel really sorry for Northwestern and Morningside fans. Growing up as a Florida State fan, I feel your pain. I have watched my team play Florida and Miami in the postseason after having played them in the regular season. It's garbage. It's garbage. But you got to do what you got to do. All I have to say about that is if you are Northwestern and you end up winning, please do not let Tyson Koima jump. Please do not let him jump. I want to see a good matchup, and I want to see more. Lindsey, if I could talk, it'd be amazing. You know, we do a live show. This is how you know this isn't scripted and how you know it's live, because, you know, if it weren't live, I'd edit out all my screw-ups. Did NAIA say, is that a hunch? No. That, neither. That's why they did it. Don't let Tyson Koima jump in the air. I want to see Tyson Koima at 100% in the national championship, if that's what happens. I do like the quarterback matchups in the semifinals. We're going to get into those because they are really good. You've got what's possibly the best 4 veteran quarterbacks in the NAIA. I say veteran because I think there's a quarterback at Bluefield that's pretty fair. But let's take a look at the action from a week ago. I was on record saying that I thought that the quarterfinal matchups would be better games than the first round, and boy, was I wrong. We had a bunch of blowouts. Not a bunch, but we had more than I anticipated. Lindsey Wilson beats Kaiser by 42 points. Kaiser doesn't have Mosley there at quarterback. Shea Spencer's 18 of 28 for $159, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I think I hear the foremost authority on NAIA football, John Cooper. There he is. Cameron Dukes goes 16 for 26 for 268 and 4 touchdowns. Not a great night for Kaiser. As they have a bunch of turnovers, 2 interceptions, and a fumble lost. John, what do you think about what happened between Lindsey and
I can
Kaiser?
say nothing was of shock here. Kaiser, very impressive how they rallied up in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I think we all saw it coming here. If you didn't know, Cory, I believe Lindsey Wilson's #1 overall defense yardage-wise in the NAI.
If they're not, they're up there.
The fact that they held the Mid-South Conference Sun Division Player of the Year to 44 yards.
That's impressive.
If you can't run the ball in the playoffs, you're not going to do too well.
Yeah, and they were just too much offensively.
All right, absolutely.
So looking at the next one, I swear, I told these people the games were going to get closer as we went on, and I was sort of wrong.
Right. So, and a big thing I noticed you were saying on the account this week is that Morningside might not have a weakness. And I think offensively, you may be right. I mean, the offensive line's protecting Dolanchuk. He has plenty of time back there. It just seems like they're in stride and one of the more impressive Morningside teams we've seen since we've started covering NAIA football in 2017.
Absolutely. I had one person at the game say that was the best NAIA football team they have ever seen, bar none.
Absolutely. And then hats off for Kansas Wesleyan. Even those exiting the playoffs, what a heck of a season. I know their head coach posted just a ridiculous amount of stats their senior class completed. The win-loss record was ridiculous. So hats off to those guys.
And just looking at Morningside's defense, to be able to have Kansas Wesleyan's leading wide receiver not be Aaron Jenkins,
right,
and not be either of their top two guys there, is insane. I mean, you've got to have more than two wide receivers if you want to beat Morningside.
Well, here's the thing: you got to at least be able to slow them down a little bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter about your offense at this point.
Yeah, they're a freight train now.
There's only two offenses left in this playoffs that can go stride to stride, I think, with Morningside.
Mm-hmm.
That's not including Grandview, who I think has a great chance to still be in the national championship game.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe win it all, but their offense just isn't built for that.
Yeah, it's
they're
different.
more defensive minded.
Absolutely.
So there's only two offenses left, and Morningside's going to see one of those offenses again for the fourth time in 448 days.
Yeah, that's absurd. I told them as a Florida State fan, I feel their pain. I understand them not wanting to play again. Speaking of Grandview, they shut down the Concordia offense completely there.
What I'm most impressed with Grandview, Cory, if you didn't know, they lead all the NAIA in takeaways, 36 takeaways this year. And, they added a few more here in this game, and that's what won it. 2 interceptions, that's the difference between 2 possessions, and they won by 2 possessions.
I mean, you talk about the fact that, they may not have the juggernaut of an offense that the other 3 remaining contenders have, but if you get extra chances at bat,
right,
that's
what's been most impressive with me about Grandview. I think they've had 15 interceptions and 21 forced fumbles recovery, and that's just unbelievable.
And Grandview really did a great job of keeping Concordia off the field. Time of possession almost 40 minutes.
Right, absolutely. That's insane.
That's how you strangle an offense. And then finally we had our nail biter. Northwestern bests Marion 25-20.
I think we could all agree that this was the best matchup of the day. Northwestern, I believe, got Marion uncomfortable, and strayed away from their game plan just a little bit there. Marion wants to come in and pound the rock. That's why they had over 40 carries as a team. But when you have to stray away from that and pass in crucial situations, you're getting Marion out of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, Baron Hubler did have a really nice game overall, no doubt. In the first half, he had about, I think it was 20 carries for 78 yards, if I remember correctly.
Right.
It was almost 4 yards a carry. That's Marion's game. And Northwestern basically forced them to ante up.
And you see that 2 out of 14 third down conversions, forced Marion to have to throw in those situations at times instead of run. And like I said, it got them off their game plan just enough.
Yeah, just enough to win. We already did talk about a little bit about why the matchups are the way that they are.
Yeah.
just to save that flight.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you didn't know, Northwestern is literally on the west side, along with Morningside on the
Yep.
west side of Iowa. Grandview's on the east side of Iowa, so there's a 200-mile difference statewide for the three of them. So Grandview got the short end of the stick of having to go to Columbia, Kentucky.
Yep. So let's talk about then our friends at Mommy Bay Turf. This is something really neat that I was looking at. You have a lot of high traffic areas. Here we've got batter's box and the catcher's box, the umpire's area there on a baseball diamond. But we've got a lot of high traffic areas around a football field too.
Right.
What they do in order to minimize that wear and tear is Velcro inserts. Why would you need to rip up the entire field to replace a high traffic area that you're knowing about ahead of time?
Absolutely, that you can just get it going, and that's cheaper maintenance too.
Absolutely.
Way cheaper. Smart.
100%. Go give them a follow. See their work. It's beautiful stuff. They do a great job. Thanks to them for sponsoring our Players of the Week. And it's a clean sweep for the Mustangs, going offensively with the signal caller himself, Joe Dolanchek.
Yeah, anytime you throw for 4 bills and 5 touchdowns, especially at this point, you're playing championship football.
Yeah, absolutely. And surprisingly, this is the first time Dolanchek has been our Player of the Week this year.
Yeah, and he's been putting up similar stats all. Yeah, it's hard when you're the top dog, one of the top dogs, and we give some spread the love here.
Yep. Defensively, Jalen Portis has 8 tackles, 2 sacks for negative 36 yards.
Yeah, he was drive killers there against Kansas Wesleyan.
Yep.
Backing them up behind the sticks.
Absolutely. So congratulations to both Joe and Jalen for being our Players of the Week. And we will be back in a second on the NAIAFBALL live show.
This is Anthony Turner from Grandview University, and this is NAIA Football.
And we are back on the NAIAFBALL live show, powered by AdCraft, custom apparel and merch. John, let's take a look at the matchups this week that we get to see. It's really interesting. We have a very defensive matchup and a very offensive matchup.
Yeah, so, like I said, Lindsey Wilson's #1 overall defense per yards allowed. And then you have Grandview that has the most takeaways with 36. We talked about last week how Grandview would come down to the play of Johnny Sullivan. He only made 1 mistake last week with an interception. I don't see him out-dueling Cameron Dukes, but last week we said whoever had the better game last week out Johnny Sullivan and his opponent last week would win that game.
Yeah.
This is not the case. Johnny Sullivan does not have to have a better game than Cameron Dukes this game, to me.
Correct.
He doesn't have to out-duel him. He just has to make sure that there are no mistakes.
Right.
The interception last week would kill you this week.
Absolutely. You've got to play a perfect game. Lindsey Wilson knows what they have to do to get back there. With their rushing attack and their passing attack, it's one of the more varied offenses that we've got left in the playoffs. They can beat you in multiple different directions, and that's going to be a real challenge for Joe
Right.
Woodley and gang.
I think that the secret to this game is not only once you get to playoff time, it's all about how efficient are your possessions, and then number two, can you take care of the ball and maybe get some turnovers. But I think this game's going to come down to the front seven of both teams. Which one can have a better game?
Absolutely. This is going to be a low scoring one. I'm thinking somewhere in like the 24-21 range for this. I just do not see. I don't see this one being a high scoring affair at all.
No, I agree with you.
So what's really cool about this is it's a matchup of friends for us. Head coach Chris Oliver is a friend of the show.
Yeah.
Matching up against
Joe Woodley.
Joe Woodley, who's also a friend of the show, but
we appreciate you guys.
the Sullivan family, who sponsors us. Well, that's the same Sullivans.
Yeah.
That's Johnny Sullivan. So it's a matchup of friends for us. We can't play favorites over here.
No, but we'll be brutally honest still.
Yeah, I think Lindsey Wilson gets this one just because of the superior offense.
I think Lindsey Wilson squeaks it out, and
Yeah.
I think the really difference is, and Grandview's a seasoned team that's had to travel in the playoffs plenty of times, or not plenty of times, but they've had to travel in the playoffs. I think just the long trip they're about to have maybe throws them off. That's tough.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact. I know it's like 650 miles.
Yeah. That's a long bus
That's
trip.
a long bus ride, eating at Golden Corrals or wherever they're going to have them eat at. I think that's really going to affect them.
Yeah. But if anybody's going to be prepared for a game like this, it's going to be Grandview.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're mentally tough.
Absolutely.
Now, Morningside Northwestern, on the other hand, is going to be an offensive just smorgasbord. Shouldn't be any less of a squeaker. And in point of fact, we're going to have someone live on location.
Right.
At Morningside. Our intern, Matt Schwartzler, is going to be there.
Awesome.
Covering it live on location. So you'll get the videos as it occurs from our intern. Thanks, intern Matt.
I think the difference between this game is Morningside didn't get the best version of Koima yet.
Yeah, but this is insane. Look at Koima's yards, 1577 and 19 touchdowns in 7 games.
Yeah.
Only 5 of those are full matchups. Look at the quarterback stats from here.
Right, absolutely.
They're roughly equal in 13 games.
Right. Well, I think a strength of schedule has something to do with that.
It does, but that doesn't make it any less crazy.
I agree, but what I'm more impressed with Northwestern is their defense this year. Top 5 defense. I would say Northwestern, and just behind Lindsey Wilson, has the most balanced team.
You said Northwestern?
Northwestern.
I disagree. That's got to be Morningside with the most.
You think so?
With the most. Look, they shut down Kansas Wesleyan's.
Yeah, I agree.
Aerial attack.
But, I don't see Morningside's defense shutting down Northwestern's offense. I think it's going to be a fireworks show.
I don't think either of these two defenses are going to shut down either's offense. It's going to be a barn burner.
I agree with that. But I do think Northwestern is a little bit better balanced in the scales of our offense and defense is equally as close to each other.
Yeah.
Whereas Morningside's offense is way above, not way above, but above their defense. And their defense is very good, top 10 worthy in the NAIA
but
championship defense. But I would say just Northwestern just balanced just because that's just who they are. What's crazy is Northwestern has a lot of veteran presence on that defense. Like Van Hoyt over there at the safety position, who's had plenty of interceptions. Yeah. So, but I think it comes down to the same exact thing. There's a reason in history why, Morningside, I think, has won 10 of 11 against Northwestern, if not more.
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to Koima's going to have to be Superman again.
Yep.
And Morningside's got to make a mistake here too, like they did during the semifinal last year.
And it's super possible. What I said is, look, if if it's close and
You could have made a movie out of last year's playoff game.
yeah, now Robert does make a good point. Northwestern could not run against Morningside.
Right.
Even
Well, they're
especially-
running was Koima.
Well, last year, Connor McQuillan only had 2 rushes
Right.
in the playoffs last year.
Right.
I'm gonna look up the rushing stats from the last game, and see and just kind of get an idea of what you were looking at. Northwestern rushed for 52 yards on 21 attempts. They still couldn't move the ball on the ground, but they were 28 of 52 for almost 500 yards through the air. If you're Morningside, which poison do you pick?
Right.
Are you going to stuff the run in order to try to have that? Because I guarantee you, you're not gonna beat both.
No, not at all.
You got to pick your poison here and know that Dolenchek and gang are going to put up enough points to put you in a good position. It's a very veteran Morningside team, though. One of the more veteran teams that I've seen in the NAIA. Tyler Wingert's been amazing at linebacker. 17 and a half tackles for loss. Has just been a game changer for them. Like I said before, I don't think this is any less of a squeaker than the previous game. It's just that instead of 24-21, you're looking at like 54-51.
Right. No, I agree. I think it's going to be a close either way, but if I had to pick a winner, it'd be Morningside.
Yeah, I think...
I absolutely adore this
Yeah.
Northwestern team, but I think I'm going to take Morningside.
Yeah, they've been... their performances in the regular season didn't inspire a whole ton of confidence. They were beating teams. They were
Right.
beating them well, but there were some of the games where they struggled a little bit against Dordt and against Northwestern. Here in the playoffs, they've picked it up against better competition
Right.
and been whipping folks every way to Sunday.
No, I agree.
I think Morningside's probably got this. So let's talk about Player of the Year. I've compiled a list of almost all the candidates. I've got a couple more questions on who it's going to be from a couple of the conferences.
Okay.
But you've got Kansas Wesleyan quarterback Isaiah Rendell, Morningside quarterback Joe Dolenchek, Grandview quarterback Johnny Sullivan, Baker running back J.D. Woods, Montana Western quarterback John Jund, Bluefield wide receiver Jaquan Ebron. Interesting that they didn't go with the quarterback there
Right.
instead of the wide receiver. Lindsey Wilson quarterback Cameron Dukes, Kaiser running back Marcus Burgess, Marion wide receiver Johnny Williams, Siena Heights linebacker Cole Merlin, St. Francis, Illinois quarterback Sam Tumulty, offensive player of the year of his division as a freshman.
Wow.
And Olivet Nazarene linebacker Jason Freeman. We still have some questions about the North Star, whether that's going to be Tiger Fry or Noah Goose. And in the Sooner, whether that's going to be Keaton Dudick or Malcolm Johnson. Dudick had a great year for Segu. I got to watch them a few times. He was the bomb diggity for that Lion offense. At this point, seeing the numbers, seeing what we've said about Morningside, if Morningside loses, is it still Dolenchek for Player of the Year?
No, I think they're going to say ignore the stats, and I think it would be like a comeback type player of the year for Koima.
They can't do Koima. Koima's not a player. Is not a.
Oh, really?
Koima is Morningside or the GPAC's Player of the
it's
Year
champion. Yeah,
because it's
champion.
right. So it's
Right.
so it's not the overall Player of the Year.
I think
If Morningside loses,
yeah.
is it still Dolenchek?
I think out of your list right there, I think if Morningside loses but Lindsey Wilson wins, I think Cameron Dukes will
You
get
think
it.
Cam Dukes gets it with half?
Even with the stats.
I don't know. I think they still give it to Dolenchek.
I think you got to look, as much as I like Dolenchek, I think you have to just look at that. Cam Dukes sat out times when his team was dominating, whereas Dolenchek got a little extra time. if you're not just blinded by box scores.
Yeah, I mean, and that's going to be the big question there. I mean,
Is it stats that are going to win the award, or is it, the
Yeah,
eye
or is it
test
gonna-
on the field?
yeah.
Which I know in NAIA, not many get the eye test on the field. Which, that's a tough. If you just put it by eye test, it's a toss up between Dolanchek and
Yeah.
Dukes.
I think that, so if both win,
Yeah.
if it's a Morningside Lindsey Wilson game, are you saying Dolanchek's basically a shoe-in?
Yes.
Okay.
I think if Morningside wins this weekend, Dolanchek's the guy.
I think, I assume they give out a
Which kind of sucks for Dukes because that means he loses out 2 years in a
Oh,
row.
I know, to a GPAC quarterback.
Yeah, to a GPAC quarterback.
They give out a defensive player of the year, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I think Jason Freeman's got that one
Yeah,
tied up.
I totally agree with you.
Cole Merlin's been really, really good. But Jason Freeman was absurd for all of it.
Yeah, he was putting up amount of tackles that some people in his one game that some don't even get the whole season.
Yeah. So I think it's got to be Jason Freeman there. And if I'm not mistaken, he's coming back for another season.
Is that one of those COVID super seniors?
It doesn't say senior on the Olivet
Wow.
Nazarene website, so he may be the year for a senior,
Yeah.
just not be an actual senior. There's a ton actually coming back next year. These are going to be some of the people that we're gonna partner with to hopefully do some more voiceovers for us next season.
Right.
I'm holding off on finding it just in case we get. Well, none of the ones that are left have a shot. Unless it's a weird super senior thing that I'm not aware of. But let's also talk about before we go some of the movement in the NAIA. You see Bethel today hires their coach coming back to the program after an absence.
Right.
Still going to run
The flex ball.
the flex bone, which I think is really great for that. For them, I think that's something that they've started to actually build an identity around as a program.
Right.
Mike Magistrelli steps away from St. Ambrose. He is St. Ambrose's all-time winningest coach.
Wow. That's going to be a very competitive job.
That really is. Keep an eye, guys, on our Twitter page. We're going to be posting as many job openings as we can for coaches as we can see them. We're going to be posting them. If you're a coach or an athletic director or someone in administration, let us know. Do please attempt to keep it to 280 characters.
Right, absolutely.
That'd be lovely. But we will absolutely post your opening. But this is really a shot for some of these teams or some of these guys that have already played their last down. If you want to try to go get your masters, this is a great way to try to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're already in the mindset of a struggling student right now, because these aren't like high-paying gigs. But free masters, I would go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard for someone like you to come back 10 years later and do it.
Absolutely.
We did get one comment here. Joe never played second half, but a couple games. So those were a lot of first halves.
Right.
And Cam also was out 2.5 games due to injury.
Right.
He was gimpy. The eye test, they are roughly equal. We will see what the NAIA decides.
I definitely think Dolanchek gets it if he just wins this weekend.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's a mute point after that.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens with the both of them. I think that hopefully they get some invites to some of the collegiate bowl games. We've already seen Andrew Rupchich from Culver Stockton get an invite to the collegiate bowl, the NFLPA collegiate bowl. I hope they let him throw a pass.
Yeah, it would be nice if maybe the Reese's Senior Bowl would take a chance on somebody.
Yeah.
They had the Division III guy from Wisconsin, Whitewater, that got drafted by Denver. So I'm sure there's an NAIA guy that could.
100%. I mean, look, some of these quarterbacks might stand a chance at least at making a practice squad.
Yeah.
So let's get to my my favorite part here, and that is reading off our patrons. Guys, like we tweeted earlier this week, these are the guys that help us do what we do. They pay for the flights, they pay for the hotels, they pay for the food. They make our trips possible. If you want to help support NAIA football coverage and what we do, this is the easiest way to do it. This is the best way to do it. So we have, hey, let's go backwards. Coach D67, Steve Speakman, Tyler Pierce, Jacob Smith, Lance DeMond, Kyle Gregory, Jeff, Art Kastner, Marty McFly, Steve Card, Hayden Ferrigno, Nick Ryan, Dane, Justin Cobb, Marty Seabolt, Keith, Blake Sentman, Ian Sweeney, DSU Cone, Danielle Quinn, Brett Kroschel, Darren, Cliff Kreisel, Bob Boone, David, Dylan Swears, Roger Meyer, Trisha Prescott, Jeremy Vobble, Shirley Labella, Fred Christensen, Ronnie Atkinson, Nathan, Monty Mustang, Alex Garcia, Jerry Quickle, Jody Hoagland, Austin Steele, Cordell, and Ace Wellen. Thank you so much, guys. Y'all are y'all keep this thing going, and hoping that some other folks will join us so that we can do even more in the future. You got anything else before we call this one a night, John?
No, I'm good to go, man.
Hey, check back in a couple of weeks. We're going to have an interview with the executive director of the Durham Sports Council. For those who are going to the game, we're going to talk with him about what you should do, what you should see, how you should be a tourist in Durham. Where are your must-eat at places? If you're like me, and maybe like John.
Yeah, there you go. I appreciate good food.
We appreciate good food. You know, we were well taken care of the last couple years in Ruston with some good Cajun cooking.
That was very good.
Real good Cajun cooking. So I want to know in Durham where I need to go. I've got some friends that are telling me as well, but I want to share with y'all from a local. Where are the places that you need to go? What do you need to see while you're in Durham, enjoying the week of the national championship game? So check in. We will have that interview in the next couple of weeks so that you are prepared on your flight out. You can be making out your itinerary on Durham, North Carolina. Well, for John Cooper, I am Cory Thorpe, and we will see you next week.
Take care, guys.